Professor Alistair's retirement party was coming to an end. It was his last night at the university where he had spent 40 years of his life. One by one, his colleagues said their farewells and departed, leaving him alone in the empty living room. Where the party's chatter had filled the air, only the ticking of a clock remained to announce his new reality. A few days after retirement, Alistair wandered aimlessly through the familiar university streets. He looked around hopefully, wondering if he might run into someone he knew. But no one approached him. A few days after retirement, Alistair wandered aimlessly through the familiar university streets, looking around desperately, hoping to encounter a familiar face. But no one approached him, and he found himself pacing back and forth on the same path, lost and purposeless. Then, one day, he encountered a younger colleague in the university hallway.
"Oh, Professor Thompson, it's been a while. How have you been?"
Oh, Professor Alistair. Hello there. I've been doing well.
"Would you perhaps have time for coffee? I have so much I'd like to talk about."
I'm sorry, I have an urgent meeting right now. Maybe next time.
"Well, how about tomorrow then? Or perhaps this weekend?"
Yes, I'll give you a call. Sorry, I'm really running late.
After Professor Thompson hurried away, Alistair was left standing alone in the hallway. His daily life had become a series of such lonely moments, eating breakfast alone at a large table, repeatedly checking his empty phone screen, hesitating outside the cafe where his colleagues gathered before turning away, selecting only single-serving items at the grocery store. He desperately longed for a connection with others, but that connection seemed to grow more distant each day. One afternoon, Alistair sat on a park bench, watching happy families from afar. Just then, an elderly man pulling an old bicycle caught his attention. The bicycle was loaded with all sorts of belongings and a small potted plant. Despite looking tired, the old man's expression was remarkably cheerful.
"Excuse me, but aren't you lonely, traveling all by yourself like this?" "Lonely? I have so much that I don't have time to be lonely." "What do you mean, you have so much?" "Well, I have this sturdy bicycle that still runs, 2 strong knees that can carry me down the road, and this beautiful world spread out before my eyes."
The old man began counting on his fingers, one by one.
"I drink my morning coffee from this old cup, and I write down all the beautiful things I see in this little journal. You see, I'm someone who lives by counting what I have. When you know you have plenty, you never go hungry. You must be the same way."
The old man winked playfully and pedaled away. Alistair stared blankly at his retreating figure. On his walk home, the old man's words echoed in Alistair's mind. When he reached his study, he stood surrounded by his books, reflecting on what he had heard. In the end, you need people. How could that possibly make sense? He instinctively reached for his phone, but the old man's words came back to him, and he stopped. With a sigh, he put it back in his pocket. A few days later, Alistair reluctantly decided to try the old man's advice. He looked down at his hands and awkwardly began counting his fingers.
My hands. They can hold a pen. They're still warm.
His gaze moved to the teacup on the table. As he cupped it in both hands, he felt its warmth.
And this tea, warm and fragrant.
He walked to his bookshelf and carefully pulled out a dusty book, gently wiping the dust from its cover.
My books, lifelong companions. So many stories I haven't read yet. This fountain pen, It has written thousands of papers with me. Moving to the window, he observed the tree he saw every day, as if seeing it for the first time. That tree. I've seen it every day, but was it always this beautiful?
From then on, Alistair's daily routine began to change little by little. Planting seeds in a small pot, he felt the joy of nurturing something for the first time. I'll call you Hope. He no longer rushed through his solitary meals. He ate slowly, savoring his food. On neighborhood walks, he discovered flowers and birds he had never noticed before. In the evenings, he wrote simple journal entries reflecting on his day. A few days later, a small sprout emerged from the pot. As Alistair watered it with satisfaction, his phone rang. But this time, he didn't rush. He slowly set down his book, stood up leisurely, and answered the phone with a peaceful smile. Alistair had finally understood the difference between loneliness and solitude. Those who know what they have are never truly alone.